The message arrived simultaneously across every human colony, station, and vessel in known space. 5 holographic projections materialized in perfect synchronization, each bearing the regalia of ancient galactic powers that had ruled the stars for millennia before humanity had even discovered fire. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching as the alien dignitaries delivered their ultimatum with the casual arrogance of beings who had never known defeat. The Zephyrian Emperor, his crystalline form refracting starlight into prismatic patterns. The Hive Queen of Kepler 442, her chitinous crown pulsing with bioluminescent authority. The Machine Lord of the Synthetic Collective, circuits visible beneath translucent synthetic skin. The Psionic Overlord of Tau Ceti, energy crackling around his enlarged cranium. Finally, the Ancient of the Deep Void, a being so old that space itself seemed to bend around its presence. Humanity, they spoke in unison, their voices carrying the weight of civilizations that had conquered galaxies. You have expanded beyond your designated boundaries. You have colonized systems marked as forbidden. You have demonstrated technologies that disturb the cosmic order we have maintained for 10 million years. Chen's jaw tightened as she listened, her fingers unconsciously moving to the plasma pistol at her hip, a gesture that would have seemed laughably primitive to the beings addressing her species. We offer you one choice, the 5 continued. Withdraw to your birth system. Dismantle your colonies. Submit to our guidance as all younger species must. You have 72 standard hours to comply. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in absolute silence. Chen turned to her communications officer. Get me the Terran assembly, all of it. Emergency session. Within 6 hours, representatives from every human world, station, and fleet had gathered in virtual conference. The debate was fierce but brief. Earth's president spoke first. They're treating us like children. Worse, replied the governor of New Sydney. They're treating us like pets. Admiral Chen listened to the voices of humanity. Farmers from agricultural worlds, miners from asteroid belts, scientists from research stations, soldiers from frontier posts. When the preliminary vote came in, it was unanimous. The response was crafted carefully, delivered by Chen herself. She stood before the same holographic projectors that had carried the alien ultimatum, knowing her words would reach the 5 throne worlds simultaneously. To the self-proclaimed rulers of the galaxy, she began, her voice steady and cold. Humanity has heard your ultimatum. We have considered your demands. She paused, letting silence stretch across the cosmos. Our answer is no. Chen stepped closer to the transmitter. You speak of cosmic order as if the universe belongs to you. You demand submission as if it were your right to command. You offer guidance as if we were lost children stumbling in the dark. Her eyes hardened. You have made a fundamental error in your calculations. You have mistaken youth for weakness. You have confused recent arrival for inferiority. The transmission shifted to display star charts, human colonies, trade routes, fleet positions. You see scattered settlements and assume vulnerability. You see diverse governments and assume division. You see a species barely 2 centuries into space travel and assume helplessness. The display changed, showing massive industrial complexes, shipyards, and weapon foundries hidden throughout human space. You should have looked closer. Across human space, the response had already begun. The Terran Defense Fleet emerged from hidden bases in the Kuiper Belt. Colonial militias activated reserves that had trained in secret for decades. Industrial worlds shifted their production lines from civilian goods to weapons of war. Humanity had learned from watching the galactic powers. They had studied their tactics, analyzed their technologies, and prepared for this moment. The first strike came 18 hours later. The Zephyrian homeworld's crystal cities shattered under the impact of kinetic bombardment. Tungsten rods accelerated to near-light speed, their passage through the atmosphere creating funeral pyres visible from orbit. The Emperor's Palace, a structure that had stood for 1 million years, became a crater of molten glass. Simultaneously, human cyber warfare specialists infiltrated the synthetic collective's core networks. What the Machine Lord had assumed was impenetrable artificial intelligence became a liability when faced with human hackers who thought like organic beings rather than logical machines. Every synthetic warrior, every automated defense, every artificial construct turned against its creators. The Hive Queen's world burned next. Humanity had studied the swarm species, had learned their pheromone languages and biological imperatives. Modified viruses tailored to disrupt the hive-mind connection spread through the population like wildfire. Without coordination, without unity, the mighty swarm became merely insects, scattering in confusion as orbital bombardment rained down. The psionic overlord discovered that mental powers meant little against autonomous drones controlled by quantum-encrypted signals. His telepathic abilities, so devastating against organic minds, found no purchase on silicon and steel. His capital world's psychic amplifiers became funeral monuments as human machines systematically dismantled his empire's infrastructure. The Ancient of the Deep Void proved the most challenging opponent. Its species had survived the death of galaxies, had witnessed the birth and extinction of countless civilizations. But they had grown complacent in their immortality, had forgotten that sometimes the young and desperate could accomplish what the old and wise deemed impossible. Human scientists had weaponized dark matter itself, turning the very fabric of space against the Ancients' realm. 72 hours after the Ultimatums deadline, Admiral Chen stood once again in Luna Station's command center. The holographic displays showed not 5 throne worlds but 5 funeral pyres. The capitals of galactic civilization had become monuments to human determination. "Ma'am," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different species." "They're asking for terms," Chen nodded grimly. Humanity had not wanted this war, but they had prepared for it nonetheless. They had studied their potential enemies, had learned from every conflict in galactic history, had planned for the day when the older civilizations would inevitably try to cage them. "Standard terms," she replied. "Mutual non-interference, open trade, respect for sovereign boundaries." She paused, looking out at the stars that now belonged to no single species. "And make it clear, we didn't want to rule the galaxy. We just refused to kneel in it." The message spread across the surviving civilizations with impossible speed. 5 thrones had sent ultimatums to humanity. Humanity had replied with fire and left no capital standing. The age of the ancient powers was over. The age of humanity had begun, not through conquest but through the simple refusal to submit. In the end, the galaxy learned what Earth had known for millennia. Sometimes the young wolves were hungrier than the old lions, and hunger could overcome experience when survival was at stake.